Okay, hello everyone. You are listening to For the Girls with Becca Moore. I'm Becca Moore, and today I want to talk about something that I normally would never, ever talk about on the internet. And if you are anyone in my family, please turn this off. Thank you. I'm serious, by the way. Especially my little brother, he keeps telling me that he wants to come on this podcast, and I think he really believes that he's coming on this podcast. At first I thought it was a joke, but then he sent me a long message about how he's enlightened. Something like, your audience isn't enlightened yet, but maybe they would tolerate me. I'm not trying to steal your audience, Becca. I was like, okay, you're a 21-year-old boy. I think we're good. No offense. Not my demographic. I'm sure everyone knows, but if you don't know, obviously I'm dating a woman, and this is my first woman that I've ever dated. I have never hooked up with a girl before. I've never experimented with girls before. The most I had done was like make out with a few girls at like parties or when we were playing Spin the Bottle in high school. I would definitely do that. But no, I never like had a secret hookup with a girl. And I honestly didn't think I would be interested in that until I met Shannon. And she like it was just a different, like once I met Shannon, I was like, okay, I want to be with this girl, not just physically, but like romantically. I knew I had a crush on her. But before our first date, I was literally terrified, and I almost backed out of it like 5 times before we had gone on our first date, because I was like, what if she wants to hook? Like, I'm not going to be ready to hook up with her. And I was really, really scared. I think the reason that I haven't talked about this subject yet is because I don't want to exploit my relationship. And like, I'm very, like, even like sometimes Shannon will give me little gifts, or we will like do really cute things, and I won't post it just because I don't want to be like a cringy couple. And I know people always say the more you post with someone, the worse your relationship probably is. There are some things that I do think should be sacred in a relationship and like not exploited. And also, I'm just not like an X-rated person in general. I don't really talk about sex online. I never have, and that's not really my thing. But like when you're asking people how do you hook up with a girl, everyone always is like, oh, you'll figure it out, you just know what to do, you know. And it's so scary. I'm going to rewind. The first time I had experiences with girls was in high school. We were playing Spin the Bottle. It really meant nothing, but it is kind of strange. Like, honestly, in middle school, we used to like sit in a circle and all make out with each other, and no boys would be around. I don't really know why we were doing that, but I did love those sleepovers. That was fun. And then when I got to high school, we would have sleepovers and make out, like play Spin the Bottle, but boys would be there. And it was kind of like a little bit, I will say, the high school one was a little bit performative. I think that we were not really like turned on. We were only doing it because boys were watching, and I think we thought that it was hot for them to watch, at least from my perspective. I think I was more so thinking about the boys and the girls. So, yeah, no, I wasn't like sexual. But when I got to college, again, it was more like performative, like making out in the bar. Or when I saw people doing that, I thought it was performative at least. I don't think I was like kissing like too many girls in college. I guess on summer break, yeah, one time in the bathroom stall. Or maybe that was after college, but it was in the bathroom stall. Like when I was out one night, and this girl, I was at a gay club actually, and this girl came up to me and she's like, "Are you gay?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "I think you're gay." And I was like, "Okay, maybe I am." And then we kind of made out. She wasn't really my type though. Like, I don't really know why I did that. I think she was buying me drinks or something. I don't really know what she was giving me. But yeah, we made out in the bathroom stall, and then I actually did end up going home with her, but not to hook up, like literally because I needed a place to stay. I think my friend wanted to leave early, and me and her were having so much fun that we stayed out. But that time making out in the bathroom stall with that girl was like the first time that it wasn't like performative, because there were no boys around and it wasn't for attention. It was just kind of like, I think it was more of like me experimenting. Nothing happened. I mean, I went home with her, I slept in her bed, and like she gave me a scrunchie, and then the next day she like, I woke up, we didn't hook up or anything at all, we like literally fell asleep the second we got to her house. But in the morning, like I was putting my clothes back on, and she was like, can I have my scrunchie back, please? And I just remember being like, ew, I'm never hooking up with a girl. Like, I could never. I feel like the thought of like sharing stuff with someone, I was like, I'm not into it. Not into it. Not into it. Flash forward to now, Shannon and I share everything, literally every piece of clothing. Everything is shared and I love it. I think it was just the wrong girl for me to be making out with. Those times when I was making out with that girl in the bathroom stall, I was like, I'm definitely straight. I like making out with boys, I think. So I'm not into the girl thing. And like when people would talk about having threesomes, I think like even that I thought was a little bit performative. Like, which is fine. I think sometimes if you think it's hot to make out with a girl while like a guy is watching, I think that's whatever. I'm like, I just don't think that the guy deserves all that, you know? I'm like, really? He has everything. He needs this too. He's fine. I did have a boyfriend, the Canadian guy. Oh my God. I can't. But this guy, basically, he was like cheating on me the entire time we were dating. And I had no idea until now, 2 years later, because his ex-girlfriend DM'd me and let me know. Blah, blah, blah. Terrible relationship. Anyway, our relationship was so terrible that I like almost, when the thought of a threesome came up, I was like, oh my God, maybe we just should. Like, honestly, maybe that'll fix everything. How does a threesome fix everything? I don't know. I really don't. But that was like, maybe it'll like reignite me liking him again because I'll be jealous or something. I was losing feelings for that man fast because it was just so toxic. And like, I just didn't feel like I liked him anymore. Sorry, Sander. It's not his real name, but I just didn't feel like I liked him. So we ended up like saying that we might have a threesome if we ever went on vacation one day. Obviously that didn't happen. We didn't make it that long. We broke up, but like we were like hooking up, and on my birthday, actually the day that we broke up for the last time, we were hooking up, and he was like, you want to watch me hook up with one of your friends? And then he named the friend, and it made me sick. Like he said that during us hooking up. Weird. And then I was like, I'm never having a threesome. Which I haven't ever had a threesome, and I'm not going to. I don't know what I can't. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I'm like 50 or 60. But I'm not interested in threesomes. And I kind of thought that's like what hooking up with a girl was, because my brain was like always man centered. Like I guess I was just always like, I'm gonna end up with a man. So if I'm ever gonna hook up with a girl, it's gonna be a threesome. So, and that didn't really excite me at all. Like I don't really know. I don't know. I really hope that if you are in my family, please turn this off. I'm serious. I'm really serious. Or if you know me in real life, just turn it off. If we're not on this level, please just turn it off. I can't. But then I met my girlfriend, and I was like, oh my God, I want to date her. And if you're dating someone, you make out with them and do more than make out with them. So I was like, I have to figure this out fast. So I did what anyone would do, and I Googled it. Obviously, I went on like Reddit, and I looked everything up, tried to find out some things. Everything seemed so advanced. I was like, I don't know what to do. Also, I was like asking people I knew that had hooked up with girls before, because again, the only experience I had was making out in a bathroom stall, and that I didn't even like that. And so I started asking around to my friends who have hooked up with girls, and they're like, you're not going to want to, like my hairdressers were like, you're not going to want to hook up with someone that's like the main lesbian, meaning Shannon, because like she's not going to want to like it's a waste of time for her to like teach you how to do stuff. I think they thought I was experimenting at the time, but they were like, what if you don't like it? And then like she wastes her time. And I kind of got what they meant, but like I'm not about to hook up with someone that hasn't been, like I wasn't down to hook up with someone that hadn't been with a girl before, because I felt like that would make me anxious in itself if someone else felt anxious in my head. So because I do think that like the first time you do stuff with a girl, like it's gonna bring anxiety. It's just like it feels foreign, when in reality it's kind of like the same as hooking up with yourself if you think about it. But it feels like a foreign concept, even though honestly, spoiler alert, it's like easier than hooking up with a guy. Like, cause like hooking up with a guy for the first time is way harder because you have no idea what you're doing. Actually, you know what? All you really have to do when you're hooking up with a guy is lay there. So that wasn't very true, but in itself, like if you think literally, hooking up with a girl is easier. A lot of the times you have the same body parts, so it's going to be like easier because it's going to be like something not foreign to you, like you know what to do. And it's kind of just like innate in you. Like I feel like I don't know, when you're like hooking up with a girl, you're kind of just like, oh, I know what to do once you start making out. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I ended up pursuing Shannon. It ended up working. We ended up dating. well, texting a lot. So we were texting a lot, and I was like, how do I do this? So I was Googling it on the side and asking my friends, and some of my friends that like have hooked up with girls were also saying that I might not like it. So I was prepared for that. Like I honestly like didn't know if I would like it or not. I just because I couldn't imagine what was going to happen. Like what happens? That's my whole thing was what happens. Like what actually happens, you know? No one really talks about that. No one's talking about that. Basically, I was like, are we going to get to like third base? What is third base? What's fourth base? It's a home run, fourth base. I don't really know baseball actually, or the rules of baseball, so that wouldn't even like matter to me anyway. I don't really know like the bases, but are there 4 bases before a home run? I don't know. How many bases are there in lesbian hookups? I don't really know at all. I want to know. So anyway, sometimes I feel like I still don't know, to be honest. Yeah, my friends had different experiences. Some of them like loved it and like only after they hooked up with a girl wanted to hook up with girls forever. Others were like, not my tea, not my cup of tea, not my jam. What's the word? Not my tea. Not my tea. They just like weren't into it, and they were like, you might not like it, so it doesn't even matter if you're good at it or not, you know. My whole thing was like I was scared to be embarrassed and like scared to be bad at hooking up with a girl. Honestly, with men, I'm just gonna be so real. I lay there like I'm not exciting in bed, to be honest. I'm like, they have everything, they're good. Jason from finance does not need me to perform for him. It's fine, it'll be fine. But like hooking up with a woman, I was like, okay, this woman has rights. You know, like women are like, they've been through some stuff. Like they deserve to be respected, you know? And I'm not going to just lay there for a woman. Like I would feel way too bad. So I was researching a lot, and they made it so scary. Like when I was looking up on Reddit, I was like, what? I have to do what? Like what the hell? What the hell? It just seemed so complicated, and like I think like in bed I'm not very like performative in general. Like I'm not very like I don't turn into like a sexy Wolverine or whatever. Sexy lion. I don't know. What's like a sexy animal? I don't know. But I'm not like, I'm more like what you see is kind of what you get. I'm just like, I don't know. So I was nervous. That's why I like hooking up with people that kind of take the lead. First of all, like think about the type of partner that you would be comfortable experimenting with for the first time. For a lot of people, that would be someone that hasn't also hooked up with anyone else, like any other girl, because then they'll be like, okay, well, at least if I'm like quote unquote bad at it, I'll have someone else that probably isn't good at it either, and they won't really know the difference. So if that makes you more brave, for me it was the opposite. I wanted to kind of be like led and like taught things. Most honestly, women are so much nicer than men, and they're like very gracious, and they're not going to like judge you for like not either like wanting to do something or being like new to it, or being like, they're very like empathetic. So you have that going for you. Also, you have the same body parts, so you have that going for you as well. Once you're like actually doing it and like turned on, it's not scary anymore, because you're like, okay, I know what to do, and all of a sudden I want to be doing whatever I'm doing. When you're like not turned on and you're thinking about it, like manually thinking about it, you're like, what the hell am I gonna do? Like I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? But when you're like in the game, you're like, okay, I can do this. I know what to do, you know? But yeah, also I think like talk about it, and you can be like funny about it. Like before we hooked up, I was so scared, and like I like made jokes about it, which made it kind of like funny. And it doesn't have to be so serious. Like you can laugh. Like if you're making mistakes, quote unquote mistakes, laugh. Who cares? Like you should be able to laugh and like make fun of yourself, and joke with your partner. And that goes for like men and women. Like it doesn't really, you should just be able to laugh, and like it's funny. Like who cares, you know? Be lighthearted about it if you can. The worst that happens, okay, is you make a huge mistake. But really though, like what's the worst that happens? You make a huge mistake. It's a funny story. You never see that person again. You don't have to see that person again. Whatever. They weren't your person. Like you can't really go wrong with the right person for you. Like you're not going to be able to mess up the right person for you. I made every mistake in the book, to be honest. Like, and we're still dating. So like I'm not, again, like I knew nothing. I think that just speaks to like you have to find someone that is like confident, normal, and is going to make you feel safe, and like you want to be doing the things that you're doing. It should feel like a treat. Like, oh my God, this is fun. Yay. It's all about fun at the end of the day. It really is all about fun. So if it's not fun anymore, stop doing it, or like don't do whatever you're scared to do, you know? So that's just like the mentality part. You have to make sure you're like in a clear head. Like, I mean, you don't have to like not be sober. Like I was like, oh my God, I need like 3 glasses of wine before I do this. Beforehand, be clear-headed about it and like be honest with yourself and be like, do I really want to do this? Am I going to have fun doing this? And it's really not as scary as you think. Like, it's not like, also like PRN it's not like that in real life. I feel like okay, not that I ever watched those videos or that type of content, but when you see it, because it pops up in your pop-up browsers when you're like 12 years old, weird. I was so confused when I saw that when I was 12 years old on the pop-up ad things. Like, what the hell was that? Jesus. When you look at that stuff and consume that content, it looks so scary and like advanced and like just like, what the hell? And they're like, bleh. I don't know. They're being so weird in those, the ones that I accidentally saw, you know. It's not like that in real life. If that would make you feel braver and you like want to watch that to like get yourself in the headspace in the game or whatever, go for it. But like, it's not gonna be like that. Lighting wise too, by the way, it's not gonna be, I mean, unless you're in broad daylight, but I'm just saying like, it's not gonna be like that. I also think like a big part of it is confidence, and that sounds so boring, but really though, like if you are insecure about your body, you have to fake it till you make it. Like when you are naked, you have to be like, this is fun, you know? Even if you aren't confident with your body, just fake it till you make it, and then you will feel way more comfortable, because when you fake confidence, you automatically become more confident. Like if you're able to fake confidence, you are able to be confident because your brain knows what to do. Just like if you guys are in bed together, you want to be in bed together. Like that person is attracted to you. I think with like women, it's hard because it's like a lot of comparison comes into play. With like men, you'd have completely different bodies. So it's like you're not like really comparing your body to this person. But with women, a lot of the times, like I've heard people be like, it's weird because I feel like, I don't know, insecure about my body. And like, what if they're like, they have a different body type than me? I think really just fake it till you make it, confidence wise, like body image wise and performing wise. Like just, if you don't feel very confident, you can always fake it. And then the other person will probably believe you. A lot of the times what would annoy me was like, I would ask people like literally physically, how do you do the things like that you do when you're hooking up with a girl? Like I wanted to know step by step what to actually do. You don't really have to do much. Like if you are, well, for me, I guess, I know that sounds bad. Like you don't have to do much, but you don't have to know how to do much. It feels like natural. It's like, remember the first time if you've already hooked up with a man, if you haven't, sorry for this part, but like when you hook up with a man, they kind of like, someone at the end of the day has to lead and like has to be like, okay, I'm going to make the next step. I'm a little bit scared, but I'm going to make the next step. That could be you, or it could be the other person. And especially if they've already maybe had experience with women, a lot of the times, from what I've heard, is they will make the first move if they have already hooked up with a girl and you haven't. Also, I'm not an expert. I want to keep saying this over and over. I'm just talking about like for the girls that have been in my DMs being like, I think I might want to hook up with a girl. This is not, I am not an expert lesbian. I'm just talking about my experiences because I'm scared of people getting mad at me for speaking for all lesbians. I'm just talking for the girl that like is scared, okay? Because I wanted this too before I started dating a girl. I would have loved to see this podcast episode before my first date because I almost canceled my first date Shannon said on our first date when she went to hug me, I was like shaking. She didn't tell me that until like 3 dates later, but I'm so embarrassed about that. Oops. But it was honestly because I was more nervous about what happened after, like what was going to happen after we went on our first date. Like I was scared, like, are we gonna hook up? I don't know. But yeah, someone at the end of the day has to make kind of a move past making out. Once you're making out, it could be the other person, but make sure you have consent either way. Consent in yourself. Also, make sure you have their consent. That goes without saying. That's obvious. But once you get past like the making out, the fun, like hot and heavy section, then it's like, okay. I know everyone, it's so annoying when people are like, you're going to just, you figure it out, you're going to be fine. But like, you're going to figure it out and you're going to be fine. You're kind of just going to know what to do. I think honestly, practice on yourself. You're going to have to practice on yourself. I know, I'm so sorry. If you're thinking of first base as like boobs and then the next thing is like maybe hand stuff, what comes after that is kissing all over your body. And that part comes naturally. I swear to God, so easy. So don't worry about that. Also, I feel like this is like a Call Her Daddy, like an OG Call Her Daddy episode. I'm just like scared again because I don't talk about this stuff online. Okay, so I wanted to halfway through do some research because I wanted to make sure I'm giving you guys like the right information before I kept continuing this podcast because I'm terrified of like you guys getting mad at me for saying the wrong thing now. Ever since my clickbait scandal, which wasn't even clickbait. Okay, anyway. And the article I found actually did seem helpful, so I'm just going to paraphrase what I read. Basically, think about, like, fantasize about, like, what type of girl, like, what turns you on. I think you have to, like, get yourself in the mindset, like, what type of girl are you looking for? What, like, aspects of hooking up makes you excited versus, like, what makes you nervous? Do not put pressure on yourself. That's the quickest way to make yourself not want to do anything. Also, make sure the other person that you're about to hook up with doesn't feel like your experiment, because then it'll feel like there's a lot of pressure on them to like perform and make you like it, you know? So also, like, it's up to you to disclose whether or not it's like your first time. I think telling them it's your first time hooking up with a girl might make you feel more comfortable because there's lower expectations, but it is up to you if that'll make you more nervous to tell them it's your first time. Up to you. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, just make sure they know that they're not like your experiment. And even like on a date, like I don't think you should be like, if you're just going on a date for the first time, I don't think you should be like, you are my experiment. Like, do not let there be an undertone of that, because then the person all of a sudden feels like they're performing to try to make you like them. So I don't think you should put that weird pressure on your other person. Also, if you're hooking up with a girl and you're like, oh my God, am I enjoying this? You don't have to think about like the label that you are in that moment. Just enjoy it and be like, okay, I'm just having fun right now. Like, whatever. It doesn't have to mean like you're gay, you know? Like, it can just be fun. There doesn't need to be all this like pressure to like come out of the closet the first time you hook up with a girl. You can, it's 2024. It's normal. Like, you can, it doesn't matter anymore. If you feel like empowered by like having a coming out of the closet moment, having an emotional moment, like even the way that I did on accident on my podcast episode, I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be this big like deal. It doesn't have to be like so serious. It can be like fun and like funny. Just keep it like lighthearted. Really try to keep it lighthearted. And if you are feeling like curious and like you're like, what is this all about? And like you are interested in hooking up with a girl, give yourself like the space to explore that. I mean, I know it's hard, like if you have a boyfriend, but I mean, I don't really know what to say about that. It's like, you have to decide what's more important to you, your relationship, and maybe like potentially risking your relationship or never getting the chance to experiment. Most people don't regret experimenting with their sexuality. Like, I feel like the regret that I hear about the most often is never getting to, because they meet the love of their life too soon. Just like decide what's like, you shouldn't cheat on your boyfriend, because I mean, up to you. I don't really care. I'm not the police. I'm just saying, like, well, I don't really know. You can cheat on your boyfriend if you want. I'm not the police. Okay, let's do the viewer question. Her real name is really cute. I wish I could say it. I'm going to go with Sarah. But your real name is so cute. You know who you are. Hi, I love this podcast. I'm hurting. I love you too, Sarah. I'm hurting so bad. You always seem to speak to me. Well, that's crazy. I'm sorry that it's me that has to speak to you. I met someone. He was fresh off of a breakup, and we had an intense, passionate obsession with each other. We spent Friday together, took a bath, laid by the fire, talked about our future. Then on Sunday, he told me he couldn't do this. I'm gutted. I'm spending money on tarot readings. LOL. Please help me. Do I reach out? Do I let him have space to miss me? Will he miss me? Will he come back? I'm spiraling. I am so sorry. I hate that feeling. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, you get so excited about one person. You think this is finally your person. You finally found someone that's going to make you happy, and like you can picture a future with this person, and you're like, hell yeah, this is going to be awesome. First thing we're going to do is make sure we don't post anything on social media that is too obviously missing this person. You need to pretend like you are the one that got away. You need to visualize being the one that got away. So like, what do you think this specific guy would respect you more for? Being like his frozen pizza, which is something I talk about. And I think 2 episodes ago, where I'm saying like, do not be available to this guy no matter what. Make sure he knows that you have boundaries, that you are a real person that should be respected, and that he cannot come back to you anytime, even if he is missing you in like 6 months from now. You will be single. Like, you do not lead him to believe that you will wait for him in any way. I think that, so first of all, clear up your social media, and then second, visualize. I mean, not clear up your social media. Just make sure we're being careful about social media, okay? That's the first thing that this person's going to look at to see if they want to text you or not, you know? Like, I mean, it's just the truth. That's just the truth. Yeah, visualize being the one that got away. Like, how do you think being like the highest version of yourself, like the most powerful version of yourself, how do you think she would act? And embody that in any way you can. So try to, well, it just depends. Like, what makes you feel like yourself? Like, is it like, do you have a hobby that you like to do? Is it like, I don't know, like some people like baking. Do you like baking? Do you like running? Do you like reading? Whatever. Boring. I know it sounds boring, but you have to start doing things. Like, literally, I know it's so cliche, but do an activity that makes you feel more like present on the earth. Not like in an airy, like thinking about this person over and over again, like space, you know? It feels kind of like a breakup, even though you spent like a weekend together, but spending a weekend together, that's like a lot of time together. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings, but I will say, like, if you never hear from this guy again, you will get over him and it will be like a blip in your story. But if you keep kind of just like, don't text him first. If he said that what did he say exactly? He said that he couldn't do this. Okay, don't text him. Wait for him to text you and give you a long explanation as to what made him have cold feet. If he's like super avoidant, you don't want to go into this anyway. It's going to be so annoying. Dating this type of person will be a lot. Maybe he's just having a glitch though, and he will come back in the next few weeks. If you stay quiet, and don't text him. If you slip up, you have to forgive yourself. You need to just feel like the it girl, like, clean your room, clean your apartment, do stuff that makes you feel present, go on a long drive, go on a long walk. Remember that you are not alone. Everyone goes through this at some point in their life. Everyone has like a really strong like electric connection that burns out, and it sucks. And you feel crazy because you're like, why am I still upset about this guy? We spent a weekend together. Like, what? But it's because like you probably felt a lot of sparks, and then try to recognize, like, is it sparks or is it anxiety? Because I'm like, whoa, like sometimes it could be love bombing, you know? You don't know. You don't want to get in a relationship with someone that's like too much of an up and down anyway. So this is a major red flag just in general. I'm just like speaking from a stance of like, if you want this guy to come back. But you do need to like write down pros and cons. Like, there had to be some things about him that you didn't really like that much. There had to be some red flags. Write that down so you can visualize it, and then remember that like your ideal partner would not be saying, like, your ideal partner would want to be with you. You know what I mean? Your ideal partner would be ready to be with you right now, not in a year from now, not in 6 months from now. So already, like, something about this is not ideal for you. And while you're on this earth, what you want the most is just to be happy and feel fulfilled. And if this person isn't making you feel fulfilled, they're not the right person for you, you know? Not right now, at least. So just have peace knowing that no matter what, like, the universe is for you. Like, everything works out in your favor. I'm sorry if it sounds woo-woo, but it is like just proven to work with like relationships. You need to calm yourself down by being like, no matter what happens, the world is working in my favor, and if it's not this guy, it will be someone else. Someone else is going to make me feel better than this guy is making me feel right now, and I'm not going to beg him to be with me. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I still love you like a year from now. No, you're going to stay strong and center yourself and just feel more present. Okay? I guarantee that this guy will talk to you again if you do all of the steps I just listed. But if you're not, like, no one is a robot though. That's the thing I will say. Like, people make mistakes. You might accidentally text him. You might have a few glasses of wine or something. I don't know. Forgive yourself. Remember that no matter what you do, you can access the most confident version of yourself that doesn't care about this kind of stuff. And yeah, this guy sounds like a red flag if he's like able to have such a strong connection with you and then be able to pull back so quickly. It doesn't sound like this is like the type of guy that you want. I don't have a lot of context, but it doesn't sound like the type of guy that is like ready to be a boyfriend in the first place. So I don't know. That's my advice. Give me a follow-up. I want to see what happens with this one, Sarah. Well, I love you guys. I hope that this wasn't too risque of an episode. I try to keep it a little bit like not too X-rated because I do want to keep like some things in my relationship to just my relationship, and I don't want to like be like give you like a porny description of like what it's like to hook up with us. I don't really know. I don't know. This is kind of like a scary episode to record. So I'm sorry if you don't like it. And if you wanted more info, I'm sorry. I'm just like trying to like be respectful of my relationship and keep a healthy relationship. So I don't want to like give everyone all the details, you know? You guys understand. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you love me, please rate it 5 stars. If you don't love me, please rate it 5 stars. I love you guys. I should have done this a long time ago. I didn't think anyone would care. So I'm just so grateful for you guys, and I love you. Okay, goodbye. So yeah.